Hello YouTube, here's a Lufthansa CRJ-700 in 144 scale. It also comes with the option to build the United Airlines version, as you can see on the decal sheet. The engines were resin, which to me meant less sanding on the seam lines and also that dreaded seam line on the interior of the engine intake. The photo etch is not aftermarket and it does come with the kit, and it's mainly got parts for the landing gear doors, antennas, and the pitot tubes. The clear fuselage is a harder plastic to cut than all the other gray parts, which made it tougher to trim off the little plastic nubs where it was attached to the sprue. And I actually sliced my thumb on the edge of the plastic, which made it really annoying trying to build for a few days after that. Here I'm showing off the significant amount of flash that came on both of the fuselage halves. You can see it on the lower part as compared to the top piece, which I already trimmed off. Since I plan to use the windshield decal, the cockpit will not be visible in the end, but I went ahead and painted it just for fun. And you need to include it in the build regardless because it acts as a counterweight for the tail. The center console and controls was a decal, but on the sides, I used a toothpick to stipple on black, white, and red, kind of in a random pattern for various buttons and switches. After the putty magically sanded itself away, I sprayed the primer to see how well the seam line was removed. To be honest, it took a couple more times of puttying, which I did not add to the video, before I got it fully hidden. The tape helped mark the center line on the very top of the fuselage while I made marks for where the photo etch antennas would be placed. I used a slow drying, thick super glue to initially get them in place, and then once that was dry I came back and added extra thin, quick drying super glue to make sure they were firmly held in place. The kit mold seemed to have omitted the panel line for the plane's rudder, so I scribed it on and used a piece of tape as the guide. I also try to reuse tape as long as I can, and as long as it's still got some stickiness to it, which is why you see an orange stripe on it that's left over from my X-Wing fighter build. I lost track of how many coats of white I sprayed, but make sure they're thin coats and they're fully dry in between, or else you'll see the paint start to pool up and you'll get an unwanted texturing on the aircraft.
I use a rotary cutter a lot when I need to mask curved surfaces. I usually just guess and check on how big of a radius I need to cut. If you're interested in how to actually measure and cut the circle mask precisely, check out the spinner on my Buffalo Brewster video.
I didn't use any microset on this plane, just water to get the decals positioned. Then before they were fully dry, I used microsol and I stamped and I rolled the decals with the Q-tip, which helps it to sink into all the panel lines. I've had mixed results with only coating the decal and not pressing it into place. All of this is being done on a surface that I'd already clear coated with all-clad aqua gloss. I realized after I slid the decal off the paper that the window spacing didn't match the plastic molding perfectly. I was able to lift the decal a bit and snip it into 3 parts with a pair of scissors. I did not get that on film because I was internally panicking the entire time. You can see when I went to work on the windows for the opposite side of the aircraft, the first thing I did before I got them wet was to cut them into 3 different parts. One of the windows folded over on itself. I couldn't get it straightened out with tweezers, so I just kept flooding it with water and I maneuvered the brush underneath and was eventually able to slide the decal out from behind itself.